Vaheguru, 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 Vaheguru,
Vaheguru ji. Kya hans, kya bagla, जाको नदर करे, जो तिस पावे नानका, कागो हंस करे। कीता लोड़िए कम सो हर पे आखिए, कारज दे सवार सतगुर सच साखिए। संता संग निधान अमृत चाखिए, पै पंजन मेहरवान दास की राखिए। नानक हर गुण गाए, अलख प्रभ लाखिए, अलख प्रभ लाखिए। वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा, वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह. Very first thing is, I'm going to go through the what are the values of the Khalsa, and then I'm going to go through what is the mandate the Khalsa has to rule, the idea of ruling. You must get that mandate from somewhere, yeah? Who gives you that job? Yeah? Who sent you? And then the next thing is, I'm going to look at examples from the past where those values have actually been implemented. Look at examples from the present where we looked at those values being still being alive, and then obviously then apply it to the future. Because the main thing here is going to be forward thinking, like what should we do next to make these values visible here. After that it's going to be Q&A, but what I will do is offer some thoughts for myself. I'm not like the Death of the Pant or anything, I'm just offer my thoughts about how we can actually get this started. Yeah. So this is something which I guess comes from the three Khalsa Nare. You know, with Nare means a slogan. You know, in the Gurdwara, Khalistan Zindabad is not really part of the Sikh history. It's something that's come in the last 20, 30 years, yeah? But normally the three main slogans you've heard of, yeah? Deg Deg Fateh, Pant Ki Jeet, and Raj Karega Khalsa. And to focus on the third one, I'm sure I've done this talk to a few places about Deg Deg Fateh, but just the last bit, just to clarify why it's talking about this, the last bit says the Khalsa will rule. Most people like understand that Raj needs to rule, Khalsa, the Guru's Khalsa, yeah? But we don't quite know, like, rule what? Because we just read it, say it in Punjabi, we don't think about it in English. If you had to say the Khalsa will rule every day, then you might have questioned, rule what? But because it's saying in Punjabi and it seems like a foreign language to us sometimes, we don't really question, we just say it, yeah? So what it's saying is the Khalsa will rule the world. So, you know, if you look at the old history, Raj Karega Khalsa, Aki Rahe Na Koi. You've heard that, right? Aki. Anybody guess what Aki means? Against, yeah, sure. No one will be opposed. Most people get scared sometimes, they start thinking Baki, they sort of, the Sikhs say Baki, they say Aki. They're not quite sure. So Baki means no one else will remain, yeah? But the Khalsa, no one will be opposed to us. Raj Karega Khalsa, Aki Rahe Na Koi. No one will be opposed to the Khalsa ruling. So the Khalsa will rule the world, and no one will be opposed to this. So it's not like we're going to be like saying we're going to beat people into submission. No, they won't be opposed to it. They'll be like, go ahead and rule. And then, Khwar hue sab milenge, bache sharan jo hai. So the world will be going through a lot of changes. Things might go really bad. And then, those that are in the sanctuary of the Khalsa will actually get saved. Yeah. So, what are the Khalsa ethics? If the Khalsa are going to rule the world, what are the ethics of the Khalsa? Yeah. So, obviously the very first ethic is given to us by the names of the Punj Piare. The Punj Piare came to us with qualities, yeah? Nowadays when you look at the Punj Piare, they should also come with qualities. If we're going to choose people to run our Panth, then those people should come with a quality. By Daya Singh came with compassion. Daya means compassion, yeah? The very first quality of the Khalsa, it starts with compassion, right? It actually cares. To make it simple, compassion seems like a long word sometimes, although I'm not doubting your guys' intelligence, but to kids, how do you explain it? Say, look, the Khalsa cares, yeah? And the next thing is Taram, righteousness or justice. Now, Maharaj says in Bani, in Japji Sahib, Maharaj says, Taul Taram Daya Ka Poot. That the bull that holds the world up is not the mythical bull, but actually righteousness and justice. This is what keeps the world together. And what is its parent? What is it born out of? Compassion. So first you have Daya, compassion, and from that compassion you can then get righteousness and justice. To make it simple, you can't get justice from people that don't care about you. Makes sense, right? Someone's like, oh, I'm not bothered. You turn up and say, oh, Manu in the Kutia. The guy's like, who cares? You can't get justice, yeah? So even a judge, even any kind of organization, any ruler must have, at the very first thing, it must have compassion or caring for the average person, otherwise they can't give them justice. The Khalsa starts off with these two values. We must care about everybody, not just about ourselves. So I should clarify that. These are universal values. These are not values that we can restrict to ourselves. These are values that apply across the board to every single human being, and extend that to every single animal. So the Khalsa should have daya even for the animals. Yeah? And the Khalsa should have daya even for the vegetation and the plants. Yeah? And the earth itself. Earth is our mother, Mara describes it. So in a way, the chemicals that are pouring into the ground, again, they're against compassion. They're against your idea of compassion and justice. If you're an industrialist and you're pouring chemicals into the earth, which you know are cancer causing, but you don't care because it's downstream from where you are, right? Then that's not also compassion for other people, yeah? Or the earth itself. So after compassion, justice for everybody, yeah? Not just justice for us. Now what does that apply today? So it applies in terms of sexual justice, yeah? Freedom from sexual imprisonment, sexual exploitation, discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation, or even your gender. Okay, so that would be a Khalsa value. So if there was a land ruled by the Khalsa must first implement a system which actually cares for people, and the second thing, must implement a system which gives them justice. Okay, religious justice. So no religious discrimination, an ability to follow your religious path wherever it may be. Yeah. So any Khalsa system cannot be one that discriminates against you on the basis of your religion, or prevents you from practicing your religion. Now obviously if your religion happens to be like, some kind of crazy religion, or you're torturing people or hurting people, then that can't be allowed, right? But when it's within your own sort of, you're affecting yourself, then go ahead, do what you like. Yeah. Economic justice, okay, is a very important point. Something that our world nowadays doesn't have. People don't get to see the fruits of their own labour, yeah, which is why you've got now chocolates that are ethically farmed. Or what's the other one? There's another little label that comes in chocolate now, isn't it?
Fair trade.
Fair trade, yeah. What is it? Fair means just, right? Justice and fair, the same thing. So fair trade. So there must be systems, the law of the land must support the rights of the common person to benefit from their own hard work and to prevent exploitation. So you can't have somebody being sold into slavery. In many countries, the police don't implement laws that allow people that are trapped in slavery. So they say now, slavery is bigger than it's ever been, ever before. Yeah, and it's just not seen. So you get kids being forced to work, right, because their parents have sold them into servitude. So these things again, so the common person's freedom must be protected. Yeah. So religious freedom, sexual freedom, racial freedom. So again, you cannot have any laws that are based upon racial discrimination. Okay. So sorry for all those proud juts out there. We can't have any laws that guarantee you lordship over the others. The point is, it must be equal, regardless of your race, your culture, your caste. All those things must be avoided. And then finally, social mobility. You must have a system that allows you, okay, to actually move up and down the social mobility chain. Okay, not necessarily down, but certainly you can go upwards. The point of that is that even the system nowadays doesn't allow that. So if you look at, let's just look at the UK. Yeah, you've got areas that are not so economically well off. Yeah, like say the ghettos or whatever, in a street, high rise. You haven't got justice there, in the sense that you can't get yourself out of that system. It's very entrenched. Yeah, it's very hard to then go to a good school because they're based upon your postcode. Okay, you live in a bad postcode, your school's full of that. Your sangat then doesn't become so good. Yeah, and we know that those people from those societies are less likely to prosper than people from, say, a leafy suburb in Oxford somewhere. Yeah, where people are going to go to a good private school, good grammar school, and then on to university. So obviously that is not fair, right? So the system should be fair to the common person. Now, why the common person? That's the theme of this. Yeah, Guru Maharaj says, he says, "Jithe need Somalian, tithe nadad teri bakshish." Wherever the lowest of the low are looked after, there is where your kirpa is flowing down. That's where God's grace flows down. So caring for the common person is a key part. Also, Maharaj says, I forgot this. Nicha andar neech jaat, nichi hu at neech, nanak tinke sangsat, vadyasyo kyaris. Maharaj says, I am the lowest of the lowest. Nicha andar neech jaat. Of all the castes, he goes, I am the lowest caste. Nichi hu at neech. I'm the lowest of the lowest. At means the extreme, yeah? At jana, I'm the lowest, extreme low. Maharaj says, Nanak tene ke sangsar. Nanak says, I am with those people. I am with the lowest of the low. Vadiyan se ho kyaris. Why do you have to compete with the people that are rich and powerful and high? I've got no interest in competing with those people. My only care is to look after the lowest of the low. So the system must be designed to not benefit, but to support those people at the lowest of the low. Okay? The system nowadays isn't. I might want to put in a political justice. So at the moment, I think Stanford University published, or Princeton maybe, published research very recently, which was about democracy. Is America a democratic nation? That was their thesis, yeah? The question. And what they did is they looked at the decisions that the government had made, okay? And then they compared that to how people at the lowest, the people tend to vote. So if you imagine like the majority of people are in the lowest income structure, yeah? Then you've got the middle class and you've got the upper class. So looked at what would the lower class or the lowest people tend to choose to do, what would the middle class, what would the upper class choose to do. Then they looked at what actually happened and they compared the two, and they found that majority of the decisions made by government were in line with what the very few top people would choose to do. So the laws were designed to what they would want. The policies were what they would want, yeah, not what the general person would want. So is it a democracy? Is it based upon the majority of people being satisfied by the laws? No. So the conclusion of that study was that America is not a democracy, not a functioning democracy. Yeah, this is just an American university conducting research, looking purely at statistics and not anything else. Yeah, no theory, nothing, just what happened, who done it. So just like kind of looking at the de facto democracy. It doesn't exist in America. Okay, and so therefore there must be systems created that allow the lowest of the low to actually express their voice, and that they are the ones that are the beneficiaries, okay, of their own hard work and their own freedom. So political freedom again doesn't exist here. Here we have the same thing. We have the first past the post system, which generally tends not to allow the common person to have their voice be heard. Yeah. So that's why people like the Lib Dems, etc., have all been trying to say we should have proportional representation. The point of that is that it allows people to actually express their views. Otherwise, you feel there's no point in me voting, and that alienation for politics takes place, which happens a lot anyway. I mean, look at this country right now. We've got a pretty much Oxford-educated, Eton college-orientated elite. You know, not just in government, but also in the judges. Single no, most of the judges in this country are pretty much from top-tier public schools, and then from the top universities. Okay? And probably going back from the best prep schools as well, probably. Yeah. That's not really, how can that person relate to the common person's problems? Very hard for them to do so. Okay, they might see it every day, but on a personal level it's hard for them to relate. So the nare that this refers to is deg fateh. So that the people should be free to eat, they should be able to survive. Deg for us means food, so they have the right to food, the right to some kind of shelter, the right to some kind of medicine, the right to life. The right to life is not something which is just enshrined in law, it needs to be practical. So if somebody's hungry, you give them food, that's you fulfill the right to life. By just saying to them, yeah, fair enough, you've got the right to food, but you haven't got any land to grow it on, okay, that doesn't actually allow you to have freedom. So deg comes from that, and deg means freedom. Yeah, for us the kirpan is always representative. Deg means kirpan is always representative of that right to be free. Yeah. So the fact that we carry kirpan means that I'm free to make that decision to intervene. Yeah, I'm empowered by my guru to be, empowered to do that. Other ethics, no conversion. Now it's very strict because you see me, I'm on the streets talking to people, yeah. So people think, oh hell, he's trying to convert people. Of course he is. No, firstly, most people that do conversion tactics, what they do is that they ask you, what do you believe in? And if it's a religion, then they've got a list of things to diss your religion and get you to find the flaws in your religion, so you can go away from your religion and become one of their religion. Yeah. So you try, you go down to somebody, you knock on the door, and I'm sure you've had them knock on your door, yeah, Jehovah's, right? If you tell them what you are, they've got a script ready for you, yeah, to explain to you why your religion is wrong. That's not our philosophy. So we're happy to go and spread the message of our gurus, yeah. But if someone says, look, I'm a committed Christian, say great. Wake up in the morning, yeah, chant Christ's name, chant God's name, say a mantra, say the Lord's Prayer. Good for you. Be a good person. So we're not here to convert people, we're here to spread the message of our gurus, and people can take that message and apply it in their own life. Many people take inspiration from our gurus that are not even sick, okay? And that will spread even more and more. Many people, I've seen people online on Facebook saying, I love Guru Nanak. Yeah, they're not Sikhs. They might not even become Sikh ever. They say, I love Guru Nanak's message. Just like nowadays somebody might say, I don't know, I love Martin Luther King. You know, I love his message, or I love Nelson Mandela and what he did. So the Gurus are inspirational leaders, and we've done the world an injustice by not actually getting the message of the Gurus out there so people can learn from that message, separate from trying to become a Sikh. Yeah? It's their choice, they want to become a Sikh, but they can still learn from the Gurus, and that's what we should be doing. No war booty. Now why do I say that? Because obviously there is going to be war. Yeah? If you start to give this to people, if you try to set up a society which does it, let's say you decide tomorrow you want to go to a country which hasn't got these values, and you want to go there and set up these values, well, guess what? There'll be entrenched people who are already in charge there that will try and stop you from doing this. They'll say, look, I'm the ruler here, it's not your land. You're going to turn up and say, no, we're going to set up the system here, and they're going to say, no, you're not, and then there'll be a fight. So that's when after you get deg fateh, then Mala says Pant ki jeet. So to put the word jeet in there, that means there must be a battle first. You can't win something unless you first have a fight. So there will be a battle. In that battle we'll have to win. Right? Tahi Pant ki jeet hoye. So you can actually win over the people that are going to stop you from doing this. So for us, in that battle, some of the rules of battle are there is no war booty. We don't go somewhere, win, and then loot all the people because say, look, we've benefited from this. Yeah. So there should be no idea of this stealing from the common populace. Okay. Obviously, if you've like the Mughals, they often got robbed by the Sikhs. Yeah? That's not called war booty, by the way. War booty is taking the common person's money. Taking the money of the Mughals after you've beat them, that's just kind of like taxation. Yeah. You need that money to carry on your battle against them. They've got resources. Obviously, you're killing their resources. So you're taking the resources off them and using those against them. Okay. No rape. Rape is now becoming a big weapon of war. Yeah, big weapon of war. It was used against us as well. Yeah, in 1984, in November, it was raped. There was a lot of rape conducted upon our women. Then again, in Operation Shuddhikaran, if you don't know about it, it was an operation to basically purify the Sikhs by having Hindu police officers and Hindu people rape Sikh women so they could get pregnant with Hindu kids. That's what they thought. So these things happen, and they happen all over the world. I know there's a conference going on soon about ending sexual violence, okay, in the Excel Centre. Again, same thing. The Gurus would have forbidden any kind of rape post-war or pre-war anyway. Okay, that's against the Sikh philosophy. And also, they've given us the tools on how to control Kaam. Yeah, Naam, get rid of Kaam. Yeah. So the point of it is that Allah has given us, not just saying these are the rules, but they've given us the tools to actually achieve that. Okay. An armed populace. This is quite a nice one for us. Yeah. Guru is actually giving weapons to everybody. Sare chukko shastra. Yeah. It's not like saying only some elite people can carry weapons. Everybody is able to be armed. And if you've got a populace that is armed, like for example, a friend of mine was saying to me, America is not going to get invaded that much. You're like, why? Because everybody's got a gun. Yeah. You don't want to go invade America because the thing the soldiers rely upon is fighting against armies. Right? You're an army, you fight against an army. If you walk into a nation where everybody's got weapons, and they don't just have like handguns in America, they have like proper assault rifles in their houses, yeah? So you're basically fighting, your army is not just 100,000 people, it's now 250 million Americans, or whatever, 100 million Americans that now have got weapons. So this is a thing that the Gurus encourage, that everybody should be armed. Everybody should be able to take that first step towards their personal freedom themselves. Okay? And alongside that is the idea of actually training and being ready for war. Yeah? So martial arts, weapons training. Okay? These are values that the Khalsa inculcates. Yeah? The Khalsa is meant to bring up children, all of us that will bring up children, we should be bringing them up to think of this, to have some kind of martial training, to learn how to fight, to accept that one day they may have to fight. Yeah? Also learn how to survive in the field, survival tactics, things like this, live off the land. These things that we're not really here, we're so divorced from the land, we're so divorced from these things, we find it hard to inculcate here. But the future would be to bring this culture, this is a culture we're talking about, the value, the ethical system, into play for all the Khalsa, okay? For all the Sikhs. Okay, as I mentioned earlier about Naam, meditation. This is the value of the Sikh Panth. Yeah? So again, everybody, I know some people say, Bani, Part, that's for Amritaris, right? No, I said this before, I'll say it again, okay? Don't think Naam Japda and Gurbani is only for Amritaris. Yeah? Everybody should be doing Nityanem. everybody should be meditating upon Naam. Yeah? Don't think only Amritaris can jap Naam. There is this view nowadays that only Amritaris can jap Naam. You might have heard it from different places. They'll say, oh, your Naam Simran won't be recognized unless you've done Amrit. Okay? I personally disagree with that. I don't doubt the fact that Guruji blesses you. Yeah? Kirpa is obviously in Guru's hands. But everybody should be making that spiritual steps. Yeah? Sikhi is Guru is Jagat Guru. Everybody should be jumping Naam. I said about religious freedom, that has to be part of like any action that we take. The other thing is to build this populace of people. What has Guruji done? Not only has he given us a meditation and the Shastra side, but he's also given us this concept of not fearing death. Yeah? Maharaj says in Bani, yeah, just that Kabir mohe marne ka chao hai. Or Kabir, I have a desire to die. Maro tahar ke dwar. If I die, let me die at God's door. Let me die, not die at anybody else's door. Mat har pooche kaun hai, pare hamare baar. Let God not ask, who is this guy outside my door? I.e., before I die, I should have a relationship with God, so He knows who I am. And then if I die, I should die at His door. How will you build a relationship with somebody you've never even called upon Him? You've never said His name, what relationship is there? Right? So saying Vaheguru, that's calling God's name, isn't it? So calling Him, building in that one relationship with Him. And He said, when you die at His door. Again, Kabirji says, Jis marne te jag dare, mere man anand. The whole world is scared of dying, but for me it's bliss. So the Gurus have told us ki nirpa hona, yeah, no fear of death. Guru Tegh Bahadurji says, ki pe kahu ko dete neh pe manat an. Don't give anybody fear, but never fear yourself. So the philosophy for us is no fear, and no fear of death. Because obviously behind the idea of death is the idea of reincarnation. The soul cannot be killed. Yeah, the shaheeds are Amr shaheeds. They don't die. Body dies, soul does not die. Yeah, so we're almost taught to glorify shaheedi. Yeah, not almost, we are. But the problem is that the common person now is scared of death. The common person is scared of death because it signifies some kind of unknown. If you look at it, death is an unknown, so we're scared of it. But if we had experienced death already, if through meditation we'd experienced the body leaving the soul leaving the body, being separate from it somehow, realize the body is physical, but the soul is something else, then we would have no fear of death, because we'd have been there already. We realize, okay, so now what's going to happen is, I'm going to leave my body again. I've done that before, done it many times, so it's no big scary thing, but we've had that experience of what it feels like to be disconnected from the body, so it's not scary. Yeah? So, getting people to give shaheedi for the right reason is not just like a simple process. There's examples from history. There's a Guru's example, Guru Arjan Dev Ji giving shaheedi, Guru Tegh Bahadurji giving shaheedi, there's Chote Sahibzade, Vade Sahibzade giving shaheedi, and then Pai Mani Singh, Pai Taru Singh, all these shaheeds, but also on a spiritual level, on a personal level, experiencing what the philosophy is, that there's reincarnation, that the body only is like a kapda, the body is like clothes, but also the personal experience of Naam. These all work together to free the person of fear. Yeah? And then also, alongside that, is a lack of greed and attachment. It's what we're working towards, yeah? So the panchor, they include greed. Now, a lot of, let's say, the rule the world, yeah, the idea of rule the world. A lot of rulers nowadays, one of the reasons they don't work is because they're greedy, right? Or they're attached to themselves, yeah, attached to their family. So, if you imagine kings or rulers, okay, or politicians, or even just soldiers, yeah? Problems we have with these guys is greed and attachment. This is a big problem. Politicians are greedy, isn't it? We all know that. A lot of them are, yeah? Rulers, again, enriching their own pockets. It's that Bolivia's president, isn't it? He gets all the Facebook likes, yeah? The guy who just walks around, lives in a little house, cycles to work, all that kind of thing, hasn't got this massive, gives away 90% of his salary, yeah? One of the most famous, I guess, most loved people across the world, because of the fact that he just lives a normal life, and yet he's got all this power. But we don't have that normally. Now, alongside this, why I say attachment, is that look, we don't tend to do things because we're attached, yeah? People say, innit, everybody wants Bhagat Singh, but not in their own house. Because Bhagat Singh was 19, he gave shaheedi. So attachment works against the idea of Shahidi, because if you are not attached to your family, to your friends, to your life here, then you would go and do the right thing. But because we're attached, because you've got fear, because you don't know what's going to come next, what could happen to us, so therefore we don't take that line of stepping out of our comfort zone and going and doing something which is right. But the Khalsa has been given that ethic that you must do that anyway. Yeah? And how do we rid ourselves of this? Firstly, to understand the theory that it isn't good for us. It is too much more. Yeah? But then secondly is to experience that naam and realize that this is the true way. Yeah? And then we should then implement it. Experiencing God helps to follow God's way, because you know God is true. Yeah? Okay. What are the examples from our past that we have? Well, Paikanayaji is a good example. Yeah? Paikanayaji is giving water to the enemy soldiers. Right? No hatred there. Yeah? People pull him up, Sikhs pull him up and say, take him in front of the Guru. Why is he doing this? And then the Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj says to him that why are you doing this? And he said, because I see you everywhere. I see you inside everybody who's suffering. Guru says then, well, don't just give him water, give them medicine as well. Take it one step up. So the Paikanayaji, the idea of Nishkam Seva, yeah? The Seva Panthis, that's what they used to do, help people. These are the Khalsa values. Also, Bhai Taru Singh. You've heard of Bhai Taru Singh, he was scalped, yeah? Right? But a lot of us don't know why he was in that position. The reason he was in that position is because a Muslim father who was wandering around lost, worried about his daughter who had been kidnapped by the ruler, by some like kind of in charge ruler of the time, yeah? Not a big time ruler, but a small time ruler. And when he went to complain to the main authorities, the guy who was the main authority, it was his cousin that had done this. Yeah? So he said, I'm not going to help you. Yeah? So he came to the Sikhs, and Bhai Taru Singh said, I will give you justice. Yeah? Because he cared. Look, fir daya, fir dharam. And then he had the tools to implement that dharam. He wasn't somebody who was just sitting there thinking, oh, I'll try and help you, but he wasn't trained. He went to the Khalsa that at that time was living in the forest, yeah, who were armed. And he told them the idea of what was happening, and then they all did that. They planned that attack, and they freed the daughter of this Muslim person. So again, no hatred, compassion, and then justice. Guru Hargobind Maharaj, they made a mosque. I banged that one about this quite long if you've seen any of the videos. Yeah, it's still here today, Guru Ki Masjid. It's an unparalleled example of religious tolerance. And then Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj giving the Shahidi as well to save Hinduism. Yeah? Save the freedom of people to practice their religion. Yeah? So, we've done this. Yeah? Take it to the Sikhs now. Gurus, we talked about the Gurus and Bhai Taru Singh. Let's take it to other people. Ahmad Shah Abdali used to come from Afghanistan. Okay? So this is Punjab here, here's Afghanistan. They used to invade like every summer. It's like the Vikings going to invade, France and Britain. Every year they used to come and raid India. Yeah? And the Sikhs stopped him. Whenever he used to go back with his war booty, they used to raid him, free all the women, take all the money off him. Yeah? Because obviously he was raiding Mughal India, so it destabilized the Mughals when he was doing that, and that helped the Sikhs. But then also on the way back, they would then do all the right things anyway. So the Sikhs have done this before. Yeah? Even if you go to India like 50 years ago, and even probably now, if a Sikh walks onto a carriage, people do feel safer. Yeah? Certainly used to. Because of the government propaganda recently, there have been people thinking about, oh, I don't know what this guy's about. But 50 odd years ago, Sikhs were seen as being the righteous, the just, almost like a spare policeman. Yeah? But actually, better than a policeman. Because in India, you don't trust the police. Yeah? If you got a problem in India, if you're from India, by the way, you know what I'm talking about. If something happens to you in India, you don't call the police. Masa you call the police. You have to think 3-4 times. Should I call the police? Yeah? They're going to come here, right? Where you hide everything. Policeman comes to your house, you will hide all your gold. You will hide everything you have, because they might just nick it off you. What are you going to do about it? Nothing. Yeah? I remember when I was in India, one of my friends' dads got into an accident. The scooter was taken by the police because he'd been in an accident. They took it to the police station. And they were worried, when we go to the police station to get that scooter, what's going to happen to us? They were scared, they were going to get harassed. Because they were going to just nick the scooter and keep it. So this is the police in India. Yeah? The Sikhs are much better than those guys. Yeah? Now, examples from the present. Khalsa Aid is a good example. Okay? They're actually out there in different countries doing the seva, yeah? Whether it's Sierra Leone, whether it's Haiti, whether it's Bosnia, other countries. These are Sikhs that are going to those places and actually helping, with no need to convert people, no need desire to go out there and do the thing which is what everybody else would do, is go there with about 500 tracts and say become part of our religion, or you won't get as much help as you would have got otherwise. But we don't have that concept. But also, just to look in this country, when the riots were happening, okay, in this country, Sikhs blocked off Southall, Birmingham. And I was coming back from Birmingham the other day, actually. It's funny. I went to that Bantham in Birmingham on Friday, and the Chinese guy in the petrol station, as I was coming back, it was quite late at night, and he was like, "Oh, you guys are Sikhs, yeah?" So he goes, "You guys did good, man. And when the riots were happening in Birmingham, you guys kept the streets safe." I was like, "Oh, that's nice." And in England, in Southall it happened. But here's an interesting idea of what happened in Southall. On Broadway, the Sikhs were there in force. They were giving out langar as well, typical, innit? When they all get together, dud leke aao, garam cha, whatever. But when the Muslims went in for their evening prayers, the Sikhs kept the mosque safe as well. And they stepped up in front of the mosque. Yeah? So this is we still have that value now. Yeah? It's not the fact that we've lost it. Okay, they might not be so well trained. Their swords might be blunt. They might be walking around with whatever they could find in their house. Yeah? But we still have this idea. That's what our Guru's given us. Yeah? To be daler, to be mard. Yeah? Mardpuna means like that kind of martial, the kind of manliness, you might say. But manliness not in the sense of like, going out there and with the outward, but the actual mardpuna means for us to be a real man. I'm not just discarding the women from this. What I'm saying is, it's that kind of bravery, daler hona. Yeah? Anak. It's something that the Sikhs are trying to get rid of the anak of the Sikhs. When Indira Gandhi attacked Harmandir Sahib, when what she said herself, and one of the generals reported this, her aide I think, he said, Indira Gandhi said that I've now broken the back of the Sikhs. So that's what it was. Just be in no doubt, yeah, it was designed to break the back of the Sikhs, because if you break the anak of the Sikhs, there's no more Sikhi left, because Sant Sipahi is gone. Guru's given us this idea of Sant Sipahi, a saintly soldier. I stress it must start with the saintly part. Yeah? You cannot have a soldier who then hasn't got this saintly side. It's all going to go wrong. You've seen that, for example, with the Pakistani and the Indian soldiers that were sent to Kenya, were sent to other places like Sierra Leone. Yeah? And when they went there, they committed atrocities. Canadian troops were raping Kenyan Maasai women that were walking around in the bush. Yeah? So why was that? Because they didn't have that dharam inside them. They didn't have that righteousness, that spirituality. Yeah? There's many examples from the current we can think about, okay, where Sikhs have done something. But the thing that we have to look now, so I'm going to bring myself to the point where we can look at the examples from what we should be thinking about, is, we'll take a little 5-minute break, is how can we now take these values, right? So Guru's told us, you must have this Sant Sipahi, okay? You must have this value system. They've also, by the way, given us a system to implement this. Okay, I'm going to talk about the previous system, what we can do now to recreate it. Previously, we had an army. Yeah, the Khalsa lived in dals. Dal meaning a regiment. Yeah, Nihang Singh was a part of the dal. They had training centers, you can go and learn. They had spiritual centers, you go and learn the preaching side, go and learn the warrior side. They also had a takht, yeah, a Akal Takht, which was not in the hands of the SGPC or in the hands of the Indian politicians, but in the hands of the Guru. Okay. If the Takht was not in our hands, like for example Ahmad Shah Abdali was attacking India and he destroyed Harmandir Sahib a couple of times. At that time, where was the Khalsa then? They had their roaming Takht, yeah? What they called the Chakravarti Takht. So wherever they were, they got together, Sarbat Khalsa got together and they made decisions on what they were going to do. And they were going to meet every year, twice a year. Yeah? Vaisakhi time, they would all meet in Anandpur Sahib. Yeah? Because that's when the Khalsa was created, in Vaisakhi time. And then Diwali time they would all meet at Harmandir Sahib. If they couldn't meet there, they would have a Sarbat Khalsa anyway. They would meet somewhere. Every 6 months the Panth would meet and they would decide what we're going to do next. It was more of a, not average people meeting, but Amritari Khalsa, that we're going to do something. The leadership meeting, yeah? So the Gurus gave us a system. They gave us the idea of how to organize ourselves. Banda Singh Bahadur was somebody who was, for example, given a mandate by the Guru to go and do this. Yeah, to go and attack Sirhind. He was given the Punj Piare to support him in that. Okay, he was left from Nanded, from down south, said go up north and destroy Sirhind. Yeah, and get Wazir Khan, give him justice for Kirna Chote Sahibzade. And when he went, he picked up soldiers along the way. He also had the Punj Piare with him, the Guru had given him, and he actually achieved that mandate. And I missed that point, sorry, because I tend not to talk from notes. But where does a mandate come from? I'll ask you that question, because those of you who've been on the Waheguru course should kind of be able to guess this by now. But where does our mandate come from to do all this? If we're here to rule the world and apply our values across the world, and the world should be following us in this value system, where does our mandate for this come from? Huh? Akal Purkh, yeah. See, Akal Takht, the throne of God. Who meets there? The Khalsa. Yeah? Who sat there before the Khalsa sat there? Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji. So Guru, the mandate for the Sikhs comes from the Guru, but the Guru gets a mandate from the Takht, from the Akal Purkh. Yeah? And Akal Purkh is basically now who we follow, because the Khalsa has become part of the Guru. So the Khalsa now can say this mission, that the mission of the Khalsa is Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa. Who are you? I am the Khalsa of God. And then what do you work for? What do you aim to do in this world? Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. That's our mission. The victory of Waheguru. So these values we've talked about, they are godly values. Yeah? These are godly values, and we are the army of God to deliver these values to the world. So our mandate comes from God. Akal Purkh said, we need an army of people that are like this. Sant Sipahi, spiritual, moral, don't discriminate, go and feed people, go and protect people, defend people. We need an army of people like this to set up righteousness all over the world. To do that, Maharaj said, need to send a guru to teach them this. So don't be in no doubt, the whole of Sikhi is about creating the Khalsa. Yeah? We need to create a Khalsa army to do this. To do that, we need to start sending someone to teach them. So the Guru was sent. Yeah? And then the Guru taught people, and they created the Khalsa. And then the Guru said, right, job done. And you are the Guru now. And they retired. So the whole of Sikhi was about creating this army to then go and implement this plan. Because one person can't do it. You need hundreds of thousands of people.
Vaheguru